Welcome to another episode of NeverEndingPanel.com. I'm your host, Donnie Collin. Tonight we have a very special guest, author Harry Turtledove. Harry Turtledove, often credited with having brought alternate history into the mainstream, called the Grand Master of alternate history. Hugo Award winner, two-time Sideways Award winner, Prometheus Award winner, and we are honored to say Prometheus Award nominee with two books that Eitan and I are up against.
And I think that's the first time in Prometheus Award history that somebody has two books at the same time.
I don't understand it either.
It's also the first time in history that two brothers have gone up against Harry Turtledove. Why not? Another shameless plug. Next to Harry Turtledove is Eitan Collin, founder, fellow Duberhead, and down the line is Soundman Tim. Thank you. So tonight's episode is WWHS, What Would Harry Say? Good, Bad, or Ugly, Gavalt. We are going to throw him a couple of pieces of history, tweak him a little, and ask him, is that good, bad, or ugly if that happened, and why? So our first one is, the Hindenburg doesn't blow up. Good, bad, or ugly? Eitan's going to give a little bit of history, and then we're going to throw it to Harry.
Hindenburg. Hindenburg was a Zeppelin lighter-than-air craft that had the advantage that when the engines stopped working in the mid-flight, they serve you coffee versus going, ah! However, it did have an awful tendency of blowing up. Just to show you those wonderful Germans, they built the world's most advanced, engineeringly perfect, brilliantly constructed, hydrogen-filled Zeppelin in history.
And now we send it over to Harry. Good, bad, or ugly?
Which means hydrogen blows up. When it blew up, it pretty much took the lighter-than-aircraft industry with it.
The lighter-than-aircraft industry was going to go anyway because those damn things have trouble even when they don't blow up. There's this horrible photograph of one of them standing vertically on its mast.
We call that in surfing tombstoning. So good, bad, or ugly is the answer.
Good, bad, or ugly is probably the answer, yes.
So it's all of them.
It could be any of them because for the Hindenburg not to blow up, what probably has to happen is that Germany gets helium. And the only place Germany can get helium is from the United States. And if Germany gets helium from the United States, that probably means Hitler isn't in power, so it's probably good.
Okay. Moving on to the next one.
Hold on.
Unless you have a challenge. Somebody have a challenge? Challenge? Any challenges?
I would say vaguely good if it doesn't blow up because you don't have that searing image in everybody's mind of the Hindenburg blowing up and the guy going, oh my god, the horror, the horror, humanity! I think if you take that out of the equation, Zeppelins at least have a shot of coming in on some level. But every time
just can't let go of that steampunk fantasy visual of a
let go
sky
of
filled with blimps. Moving on, our executive producer says, Eli Whitney doesn't invent the cotton gin. Good, bad, or ugly? Eitan, a brief piece of history.
Eli Whitney invented something called the cotton gin, along with interchangeable parts and a couple of steam engine innovations. But anyways, the cotton gin was something that simply removed cotton seeds from cotton, invented about 1803, which made slavery very profitable. Because instead of having 50 slaves working in the field and 50 slaves picking the seeds out of the cotton, you could have 95 slaves in the field, 5 slaves using the cotton gin. And depressingly, cotton becomes economical from a slave point of view, and slavery regenerates itself in time to cause America to have a big bloody civil war.
So, good, bad, or ugly?
Somebody else is going to do it pretty soon because Charles Ford talked about steam engine time. There was probably cotton gin time, and there was certainly interchangeable parts time because they can do that already. They just didn't see the advantage of it as clearly as Whitney did. You might delay the Civil War by about 10 years if you do. The North will win it quicker because the North will be more thoroughly industrialized, have a greater margin over the South than it did.
I would have to say good.
So are you saying good?
Yeah, probably.
Coming down on good.
But honestly, I don't think somebody else would have invented it within at most 5 years. The times were there. Whoever did was going to get money.
I thought I said that.
Yeah, he said that.
What he said.
Yeah. Go ahead, argue with the Grandmaster. All right. Do I even pronounce his name correctly? Varus?
Varus.
Varus doesn't get ambushed in the Teutoburg forest. Good, bad, or ugly? Eitan, a little bit of history.
Varus was a man who took 3 Roman legions at the behest of his good German comrade who had been thoroughly Romanized, who later changed his name back to Hermann, into the Teutoburg.
Possibly didn't.
Oh, so that might just be one of the tensions. So anyways, he gets...
Suddenly you're an expert? Oh, wait, never mind.
I wrote a historical about this.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Guilty. Funny how this one just turned up here.
So essentially he takes 3 Roman legions in, they get wiped out, and the Roman Empire really loses steam at that point.
No. Seeing as this happened in 9 AD and the Roman Empire didn't fall for another 500 years even in the West, this does make, you can't say the Roman Empire lost steam. They just didn't keep getting fatter. This is probably a good thing because it led to us as we are. If you think us as we are is a good thing, than it was. If you want to think
Do I have to
of,
count my brother into that?
Oh,
it's a good
whatever
thing.
works.
Yeah.
If you want to think of a world where everybody, or a world full of gunpowder empires where everybody is basically, at the technological level of China, and empires like that, stretching from, from West Africa all the way to the Pacific, and you think, and occasionally squabbling with one another. If you think that's a better, more stable world than the one we've got, then Varus.
How about the argument that the Romans, without that, probably would have grabbed the Elbe River
Probably
within
would.
a
That's
generation, and
probably-
then after that would have logically just gone to the Vistula, and they would have essentially been using the same number of legions to
And-
defend the Vistula down New Blind.
And yes, and what this probably would have led to was a wide-scale eventual cultural paralysis over Western Europe that matches the ones that happened in India and China. That's what I was saying.
So actually, the anarchy was.
I heard that. Not really. Yeah.
So they might have developed a stable. Somebody just takes over the new empire. Somebody just takes over the new empire
Yeah.
sort of scenario.
We have a question.
We have a
in the
question.
audience.
Darnell!
Thank you. Wouldn't the Romans suffer inertia like they did in 200 AD and 400 AD?
Probably, although there would have been fewer people to jump on their inert bodies, because more of them would have been inside the empire than out.
They might have had time to recover from the successive shocks.
Okay, we have time for, I think, one more. Cheng Ho is allowed to make an eighth...
Oh, no,
Nope.
Justinian.
Justinian? Fine, we'll go with Justinian. Justinian
It's Dad's
abdicates... Fine, with 2 minutes left, we got to go with Justinian. Plus, it sounds like Justin, who sounds familiar to
Now
me.
you
Go.
have
Justinian abdicates during the Byzantium riots. Good, bad, or ugly, a little bit of history.
A little bit of history. Actually, I don't remember the exact year, but Justinian...
535.
535.
Suddenly
Justinian,
he's an expert? Oh, yeah.
Justinian
My
basically
sins,
was
yes.
emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. He had a lot of big plans for it. Relatively early in his reign, there were riots that he was thinking of just getting the hell out of Dodge with a bag full of gold, and his wife basically bucked him up. Theodora
Yes.
basically said, I'm not going to be married to an ex-emperor. You stay here. And he did. He stayed. He stuck it out, and he was the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, at its inception for a much longer period of time. What if he actually bailed? If he grabbed the bag full of gold, got out, good, bad, or ugly? I would say.
Well, we're asking Harry first. Good,
We're
bad, or
asking
ugly?
Harry first.
Probably ugly, because it probably means chaos in the Byzantine Empire, which probably means more Germanic and Slavic incursions, which probably means more messes with the Persians, too. Yeah, ugly.
We're going with ugly.
We're going
Eitan,
with-
you got about 30 seconds for if you want opinion here.
I would go with good. I think a lot of what he did afterwards caused the calcification, the invasion of Italy. If he had left Italy alone, it probably would have stayed much more of a unified state, which would have probably led to a regeneration of Western Europe possibly earlier. Maybe if they hadn't spent so much time trying to reconquer the Western Empire, the next guy in basically concentrated more on the east, they would have been better off
The
dealing with
next
the
guy
Persians.
in was so screwed up, I did my dissertation on that.
Mauritius.
No, Justin the second.
That was just.
But would it have been Justin II if he had fled that early? Maybe some general would have
God
gone in.
knows who it would have been. It would have been a mess. We would have probably had another round of civil wars like the ones in the 3rd century.
And speaking of mess, it's time to clean this one up. So, this has been, and will be, since I guess we're all history, and I messed up the line, another exciting episode of
And hasn't
NeverendingPanel.com, and hasn't been. And we'd like to thank our special guest and author, Harry Turtledove, Eitan Collins, Sam and Tim. This is us saying good night.